Hi guys, I'm Bri.
And I'm Alli. This is Offscript.
If you think about it, books are potential scripts for movies.
When this adaptation happens, typically it's disappointing because they went off script.
In this series, we will be talking about how off script they went. It's been a while.
Yes. Welcome to Offscript.
Hello. I'm Bri.
I'm Alli.
I almost said that I was Alli. I'm Alli.
I'm Bri.
And that's...
Hi, this is John.
Today we're doing The Magician.
Finally.
Yeah, goodness. John and I just finished watching The Magicians an hour ago.
You guys, this was the biggest commitment we've ever done.
All thanks to a certain someone.
And you don't regret it.
I don't regret getting the experience of watching and reading it, but on our timeline, I regret that.
How it came to be on the timeline. Yes.
So you guys, this is 3 books, and 5 seasons, but they're so jumbled
Intertwined. The show just fucks it all up.
that there was no way
We could clearly do like one book.
Yes. So here's what we're doing.
Because I feel like even in season 5, they're doing stuff from book 1.
Yes. So what we're going to do basically is we're still going to I'm going to go over all of book 1. Mm-hmm. And then Bri and John, they're going to share about the show and everything like that. And so we'll keep it organized by book. But if you're trying to stay organized by show, good luck. You can't do it. Sorry.
Goodness. Imagine being the person who takes notes during shows.
I was not envious of you at all. I will tell you that.
I literally, I don't even know. The last season and a half, I kind of gave up on notes. It was just I hope I can remember. I know I've got John. And if there's one thing I've learned from watching this show with him, he remembers every little thing about this whole series. He would pause and be like, that's not how that happened in the book. Did you know? Don't you remember? It happened like this. And did you remember this is how this happened?
I'm actually really nervous about my notes because I feel like I'll have forgotten something.
And John will be like, actually.
Or I'll say something slightly wrong.
Or John's favorite thing to say, he would pause the show and be like, so you remember how in the books this happened? Well, in the show, it didn't happen like that, but they did make mention of this, so it's basically like it happened. I'm like, no, that's not at all. What?
As he picks up a
thing that says bullshit. You should take a picture of him holding that.
What? No.
This is about to be fun.
So because it's all the same information, we're releasing these all in 1 week, right? That's our plan.
My plan, I'm hoping that I will get this edited tomorrow night. So then episode 1 can come out Tuesday. And then Tuesday night, I'll edit episode 2.
So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is our goal.
That's my goal.
Okay, 3 days in a row at least is our goal. So,
but also everyone, I'm about to be moving and I also have to pack.
That's where I was going to do my let's paint your picture.
Sorry.
No, I was going to say, you guys, this is probably one of our last times recording in this studio.
Yeah.
Because
I got an apartment. And so we'll be recording at that studio now.
So exciting.
Yeah. It's in a nice area in Washington. I feel hoity-toity for getting a place there.
Literally across the street from Riley's therapist.
Heck yeah.
After therapy, we're going to be like, we're going to come over and hang out.
Hey, let's play a game. But yeah, cool. I'm excited. I think it's gonna be fun. John actually found this apartment for me, and he found it and was like, "It's connected to the library. You'll love it."
That's perfect. Yeah,
it'll be helpful for us.
You can go get a Libby card from them.
Actually, yeah, that's smart.
Okay.
So all that to say, there is a chance that I might get one episode edited up, and then 2 days later is when the next one will come up.
Point is that they will be coming simultaneously at some point. So because it's all jumbled and it's all the same information, we're doing in this first chunk of episode, we're going to do all the beginnings, like the author and all that sort of stuff.
Our intro.
And then next episode is just going to be the comparison.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last episode is when we'll do the cast.
Yeah. Because, man, doing all the cast for 5 different seasons. When so many people get changed.
I have no idea.
So
I put in there. You'll find out. You'll find out.
Okay.
All right. So our synopsis is Quentin Coldwater enrolls at Breakbills University for magical pedigree.
Pedagogy? What is this?
I don't know. To be trained as a magician, where he discovers that the magical world from his favorite childhood book is real and poses a danger to humanity.
Oh, no.
Okay. Haven't done this in a while.
Allie's out of breath.
I am. Author Lev Grossman.
I think it's Grossman. But
Okay.
John?
Okay. Creator Sarah Gamble and John
McNamara.
Thank you.
Mhm.
21 people directed this show. There were 16 people that screen wrote for it, and we all
Yeah, we did all.
did the audiobook reader Mark Bramhall.
Oh, he was... Oh, wait, no, I liked him.
Yeah.
I liked his voices.
He did good different voices.
I forgot. I've had to start listening to more audiobooks for Offscript, and man, there's just been some that I'm like, oh, can you stop? So I almost said that, but no, I really liked him because he did all these voices, and like Poppy was Australian, and there was a little frog that sounded like Kermit, and Humbledrum. Was that his name?
The bear?
Yeah, he was funny sounding too. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I would say he was fabulous at what he did. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so here's the books. The Magicians came out in 2009. The Magician King came out in 2011. And The Magician's Land 2014. The show ran from 2015 to 2020. So that's a 6-year difference for book 1 or a 1-year difference for book 3.
Wow, I bet you he was writing the third book as they like had already been like, yeah,
We're going to do
here's
this.
the show.
Probably.
No wonder they screwed it up so much.
What'd you do first?
I thought that someone had read the book first, and so I wanted the same experience as him. But good God, could you imagine if I watched this first?
No, you would have had to rewatch
It would have been so bad. So I'm glad I read it first.
I watched it first.
I also watched it first.
Goodness.
I mean, I fell in love with the show. You know, it's my favorite show of all time. So I'm pretty biased here. But
we don't know which one he prefers.
That's cool. It's your favorite. How many times have you watched it then? You don't rewatch things though.
I don't rewatch things much. So this is my second time watching it.
Oh, but okay. Wow. Did you enjoy watching it
Oh
again?
my God, Allie, it seemed like it was his first time.
It's been so many years, and there's so many episodes and small details that you know, a lot of it I did recall very well, but the small stuff I was like, oh, I didn't notice that the first time. Especially after reading the books, you start to pick up on other details that you're like, oh wow, yeah, that relates. Like having the book's perspective on top of having watched it before, it does it's more impactful.
Yeah.
It was definitely a really, really good rewatch. I would probably not watch it again for another several years. But
As I'm already
just-
like,
that's just because I don't like to rewatch things, but I would rewatch this one more time again for sure.
one more time.
No, so I had watched this months and months and months ago so that we had time to read it and everything. So I didn't really remember as I started the book. I'm like, I'm going to go rewatch it. And so I started to, but then Christmas came and I wanted to watch Christmas things. And so, but yeah, just rewatching the first season, I was like, oh man, I'm going to finish rewatching this.
Oh yeah, I already plan on rewatching it, but for very different reasons, and I probably shouldn't talk about that just yet. So
Okay.
I can talk about that later.
Okay.
But it was hilarious watching it with him because there would be things that like I would be like, you have to remember this, but like, he's sitting there like, ha ha, at some of the jokes and stuff. I'm like, what?
What? There's some funny stuff in the show. I mean,
There is.
Okay. So why'd we pick it?
Oh wait, no, we skipped our.
Our initial thoughts. I'm sorry.
I actually really love the story. I think it's a great story. Both book and movie. Because,
Like just the plot, the thought of a magic land, like the child book coming to life type of thing.
Because it's essentially, basically, The Magicians is Harry Potter mixed with Chronicles of Narnia, but for adults. And I like that.
Yeah, I thought it was good.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. I always kind of say it's Harry Potter for adults, but the Chronicles of Narnia kind of fits in with the whole wardrobe theme in a way, and that's pretty cool, pretty interesting to think.
That's all I thought.
That's all I thought too. I was like, oh, this is so Narnia.
Yeah.
The only Harry Potter-esque I got really was that it was a favorite children's book coming to like
The
real
only
life.
thing for me was the magic. Like they're magicians all like, woo.
Yeah, it's the in Harry Potter you go to Hogwarts at a very young age. In The Magicians you go to what's called Breakbills, which is the school of magic, in at least in New York in the books. They go at a college age. So it's literally School of Magic for adults. So it's Harry Potter in that regard as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Now,
Why did we pick it?
because John.
Yeah, I basically said, you guys should try this one. It's my favorite show, and it's based off books. You should give it a go. And it turned out to be quite a doozy, but hey, it was worth it.
He's been trying to get us to cover this basically like a month into dating. He's like, oh, you do a podcast about this? Can you do my favorite show?
And then didn't he give you grief because you hadn't scheduled it for so long?
Because I hadn't scheduled it in so long, and because I had moved and rearranged our schedule to get Lizzie Loughlin on and do The People We Hated at the Wedding. And he was like, I've been asking you and you keep telling me that you can't change the schedule. So why? So I was like, okay, fine. I guess I'll do it.
Okay. All right. So, I'm going in expecting like millions of fun facts for a 5-season show.
Yeah.
There were like 12.
Wow.
So, here's what we get. Janet was changed to Margot to reduce the confusion between her, Julia, and Jane.
Fucking hate that so much. I think it's so stupid.
I like the name Margot better than Janet, though. But I don't like the reason they changed it.
I think it's a dumb reason to change it. I don't really like Margot over Janet, but I will say when I was reading it, I would always forget who Janet was.
Oh.
Like they would start talking about her and I'd be like, who the fuck is that? And I would be like, oh yeah, you're Elliot's best friend.
I mean, supposedly that's why. I mean, if you do some Googling, they say that it's because they felt like there would be a little less confusion with so many J's involved in the character names that the book had. But also...
Because also there's Josh too.
Yep.
Yeah, Josh, Julia, Jane, so forth. They all kind of add up with the addition of Janet. So, and I don't hate it, but also the show so many times brings callbacks and so many episodes where they refer to her as Janet.
I know.
So
That was really funny. I did like when they did that.
That made me happy.
I missed it the first season.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know yet. But then you and I had talked and I found that out. So then when they did it again at like season 4 or 5 or whenever,
Yeah.
I was like, I get
You're like,
that.
this is what this is. Yeah, no, the first callback in season 1, I was like, fine, I guess we can call her Margot. Because like the librarian's like, oh, hi, Janet. She's like, who the fuck is Janet?
I love her so much. All right. So Felicia Day, Poppy, actually knew Lev Grossman. Grossman? Okay. Every time. Before casting.
Wow.
Yeah. So when he learned that she was Poppy, he sent her an email saying, "You're Poppy. I'm so happy."
I just wish she was actually Poppy.
I know.
I don't like show Poppy.
I think she could have done a really good real Poppy.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Poppy in the show is just fucking weird.
Yeah, she was odd.
I did
I'm
not
not gonna lie.
it.
I really only liked her because she was Felicia Day.
Yeah. Nope, I didn't even like TV show Poppy. What am I saying? I was going to say I only liked her because she's Poppy. And then I was like, no, I don't like TV show Poppy.
Oh, well. Okay, number 3. Hale Appleman, Elliot, has said in several interviews that he first auditioned for Penny.
Oh.
And
Arjun Gupta.
What?
Arjun Gupta,
who played Penny, originally auditioned for Elliot.
Funny.
But then they got each other's roles. And in March 2016 interview, Hale Appleman said, "My best friend gave me these books when he heard I was auditioning for Penny. The one-line blurb about Penny was that he was punkish, but with a clockwork orange-like attitude, which is something I feel like I could connect to. But that's not the whole picture of the character." And that's why he got. And his friend was fellow actor Anthony Kerrigan. Who's that? Is he in here?
All I know is I freaking love him for Elliot.
I did too.
And I think, oh, what?
Who is it?
He's best friends with Barry NoHo Hank.
Oh, there you go.
I love that guy.
Oh my gosh.
Anyways, freaking Hale has chops for acting though, because everything he had to go through in like the last, season 4 and 5.
Yeah.
And playing like a bunch of different characters, but also playing Elliot.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, how are you keeping them straight?
He did very good.
Yeah. So I could see him as Penny, but he's Elliot.
All right. So Casey Roll, who's Marina, and Todd, or Adam DeMarco, who's Todd, dated for several years.
Oh, wow.
I know.
Oh, that's funny.
That's a weird combination.
Did you know that, John?
No, I didn't know that. But what is this the time where we can also call out that Katie from the show was a combination of two characters?
You can.
You can.
Is this the time?
Sure.
Go for it.
Did you know this?
I kind of,
Could figure that out.
yeah.
Which
one?
characters do you think Katie is a
I
combination
thought
of?
she was part Margot.
Do you know her full name? Well, I'll wait until you tell me what you think.
Okay, I thought part Margot or Janet.
Katie is a combination of two characters from the book that aren't also in the show. So
Aren't in the show?
exactly.
Oh. Nope, I don't know then.
Her full name is Katie Orlov Diaz. Okay.
Okay.
So if you remember Amanda Orlov from the books,
Nope.
and she was the girl who was killed by the initial attack on Breakbills from the Beast.
Okay.
She was one of the classmates there.
Okay.
And then Asmodeus as well from the books. The one, the hedge from the free trader Beowulf,
Yep.
Yeah.
who was close friends with Julia and went on a revenge hunt for Reynard the fox with the powerful magical blade.
Yep, I can see that now.
Yeah. So much wrong.
We better get going.
Well, I mean, the show did I think the show did a very good job at implementing so much from the books, but they just did it in a way that isn't at the same timeline as the books, which I think is fine.
Of course you do. You watch the show first.
Okay, my last one. One of Jason.
Ralph?
It would be Ralph's. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not
No,
like.
it's not Rafe.
Okay.
No, that's just because Rafe's, how do I say this?
Nationality.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So he's Quentin. First ever crushes was Judith Hogue in the movie Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in the 1990s, and she plays Stephanie Quinn, Alice's mom.
That's hilarious for the scene when she comes onto him and he's like, no, don't.
All I could think about was Halloween Town when I saw her.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Same.
But anyways, all right. We got lots to cover.
Lots of feelings.
So let's do it. Are we ready? How many pages do you have?
I haven't even counted. 1, 2, 3, 4.
She stopped taking notes in season 5.
Oh my gosh.
6, 7, 7, 8, 30.
Oh my life. All I've been thinking about is like, how are you going to do that though? Because it jumps around so much.
I'm gonna fucking figure it out.
Okay. Well, let's do it. So the book kicks off and we're with Quentin and James. They're friends and they're about to go to a Princeton interview. And Quentin has been crushing on Julia, their other friend, for a long time, but her and James are together. You can't be making noises.
Oh, sorry. I didn't realize how sensitive the mic was going to be.
We're going to keep that in there.
I will.
So they go to their interview, but then they find their interviewer dead. And this EMT comes and she's really fixated on Quentin. And she gives both of them an envelope. But James is like, no, this is weird. I'm not taking this. And Quentin's like, I'll take it. And James like, this is a really bad idea. You need to give it back or don't open it or whatever. But then they split ways. And Q opens it. And it's the 6th Fillory book. And we learn background on what Fillory is. It was like basically Harry Potter. It's his childhood magic book growing up. And then all of a sudden, there's a note, but it starts fluttering away.
In the show, they're interviewing for freaking Yale, not Princeton.
Oh, no. It's going to be one of those podcasts.
That pissed me out.
Oh, my gosh.
And what the fuck? The show basically fucking cuts out James. And it's like from the get-go, Quentin and Julia. James is there, but he's not important. So he's not going to these interviews. And so it's only Quentin and Julia who find the fucking interview dude. Mm-hmm. And then at this point, Julia also yells at Q for being into Fillory. She's like, it's stupid. It's childish. This is so stupid. You need to get over this. Because he's like, look. Because he sees the fucking Fillory book. Go for it, John. I can tell you want to say stuff.
Oh, I was just going to say, did you notice the Fillory clock inside the room in the show where they were going to have the interview and the dead interviewer was there?
I did.
Did you?
Did not. See, things that you don't catch when you watch it first.
Yeah. Also, the show starts with basically you're seeing Dean Fogg talking to fucking Jane. I'm like, what the fuck? Fillory is way too interconnected in the show. In the book, that's not the case. And basically in the show, Jane has chosen these students that she wants to go to Breakbills. And so it's like Quentin, Julia, Alice, Elliot.
No. It wasn't necessarily like that. It wasn't pre-selected. It was it's at this point in the show that they're on their 40th timeline.
Well, they don't know that at the start.
Yeah, Fogg is fully aware. He recalls timelines. He knows.
It was not told to us.
It wasn't told to us, but in hindsight, we know that they have a plan. So they're talking about the kids as if they already know them. And that they already have this plan and set, but we are not privy to that information. So it feels like they are being hand selected as new students that they just want to have in the school. But no, we come to find out that they are very aware of these students.
Yes. And then the last thing, and then I'll let you continue.
No, you're fine.
I'm realizing I have no fucking clue how I'm going to do this. Anyways.
I'm like, good luck.
I know. I'm like looking, I'm like, I could say all this, but a lot of this like ties in with what you're going to say. So then I'm going to like be flipping back.
You really are.
Fucking hell. Yes, in the book, Quentin is pretty depressed, but he's not seeing a therapist and hasn't been in mental institutions. But they do this in the show, and the only reason I can think that they do it in the show is because when you're reading the book, you get all of Quentin's inner turmoil, whereas in the show, you couldn't really without him going through that shit.
Okay, so Quentin follows this note that's fluttering away, and he gets all of a sudden, it's been winter, but now it's summer. And he just is like, what is happening right now? Well, he ran into this man who introduces himself as Dean Fogg, and Q was brought into a room for testing. And it was the weirdest type of test he's ever taken because like the questions would change. They'd disappear. Like he drew a rabbit and it bounced around on the paper, all this sort of stuff. Quentin thought he saw this girl that looked like Julia, but he only saw the back of her head, so he couldn't be sure. And 2 hours in, he still wasn't done. He's kind of like stressed out, but there's this punk kid over there who's already finished. And afterwards, only 10% of these people finished and moved on. We learned that this punk kid's name is Penny. And after this big test, they tested one-on-one and they had to do a bunch of different things. And one of the things that Quentin had to do was magic and coin tricks, which he's really good at. And after a while, Dean Fogg gets pissed off, though, because none of the students are good enough. And one of the instructor told him, hey, go look at Quentin. Do it. So Penny slips into, and Fogg tells him to do real magic. He's like, do real magic. And Q was like, I don't understand. And so then Fogg like makes his hands in different positions, and Q was getting really annoyed. So he takes the deck of cards and he just throws them in the air, and they like fall and make a house of cards. And then he fans them out, and they're all queens, and he tears them up into quarters and he throws them. And Fogg's like, okay, you pass.
So in the freaking interview or quiz, fucking Q and Julia are talking to each other.
They just know each other's there. That's right.
Yeah, they're like, oh, hey, what is this place? I was just walking in to go here. Oh, John, this is actually your note. You would remember this. No sword, and Quentin doesn't faint in the exam. Quentin faints in the exam in the TV show, but what was the sword?
Yeah, so in the books, there's a sword that he kind of manifests with his magic instead of like a house of cards like in the show. It's a sword, and that is something that he creates a second time later in the show. Later in the books. It's kind of referenced one time in the show only, but it is much later, and it just isn't something that he does when he's in the exam. He doesn't do the blade. Instead, it's just a house of cards, which is still very cool. But yeah, that's the difference there.
And then when he faints, fucking Jane comes to Quentin because Jane's all buddy with Quentin, like, oh, we need to stop the beast. And she tells him about the beast right here, when fucking you don't hear about the beast until like halfway through the book. Everything's hunky-dory.
So Quentin woke up. Okay, Quentin woke up in this room and he's exhausted. And Dean Fogg told him about break bills and how they're recruiting him. Quentin mentioned the EMT and Fogg was a little surprised. He now has a choice, though, to join break bills or go back to his parents. And he chose school, but he's like, hey, I got to start right now, though. I don't even want to go back till the next semester. Quentin had lost the last Fillory book in the examination room, so he's really bummed about that. And then we find out Penny also signs up. And Quentin then meets this kid named Elliot. And Elliot shows Quentin around campus.
I love Elliot so much.
I really do, too. He is one of my top.
He's like, yeah, I think he's my, like, book and show Elliot, too. Just like...
They did match very well.
Both so great. So, yeah.
One and only. Quentin wasn't too bad.
No, he wasn't.
He matched kind of too.
Yeah, which was nice because Quentin's my favorite. It's Quentin and then Elliot. And then Alice. But basically, there's a whole entire episode where fucking Quentin's back in the fucking mental asylum, and we find out that Penny's a fucking traveler because this is where he loses the book, and they find out, oh no, he's not in the mental asylum. He's just under a spell. And the only way to help him out is to get Penny in there.
Okay, but you didn't think it. I thought it was so funny when he's like, he makes Penny very stereotypical to his nationality. And Penny's like,
what the fuck, man?
Racist piece. Oh my gosh, it was so funny. All right, so there's this first class, and Quentin was asked to come up and do some magic with this marble.
Oh, hold on.
Okay.
Because actually, when Fogg is offering Quentin his spot, he then asks how Julia did. When he's not even supposed to care. Or even fucking know that Julia was there.
Yeah. Okay. And so he's doing this sleight of hand magic, like, you know, mere mortals can do. And then this girl named Alice comes up and she does real magic, and she's very shy, but she does it and everyone's in awe. And now Quentin keeps this marble on him at all times, and it's his little, like, he practices and tries to get better.
Quentin never goes up and does magic in front of the class, but Alice does go up and do stuff.
That was an easy one.
Wow, that actually happened.
Quentin, Alice, and Penny were brought into a room and told that they're moving up to second year early. But first, they had to be sure to pass their final exams. So they've been hanging out and studying together, and Quentin sometimes studies alone, and he goes to this telescope room because it's quiet up there, and then he sees Elliot and this kid named Eric. And Elliot was begging Eric, please do something, and Quentin decided not to eavesdrop, so he left. Alice and him walked around in the snow for a little bit, and Alice is a pretty chill, nice girl. She says her brother died a while back, and she was not invited to break bills, so she found her way in herself. And then it's time for the exam, and Alice and Quentin passed, but Penny did not.
Dude, let's talk about how pissed I am about this.
Okay.
The whole entire season 1, Alice is fucking obsessed with finding her brother because he's a Niffin, and she knows that there's a way to bring him back. And so the whole entire time she fucking tells the story of how he died right off the bat. She fucking finds the girl to talk to right off the bat. They are going for it hardcore, and they fucking get her brother to come, and he attacks them, and it's just so frustrating. Once they did that to Alice, I was like, oh, they didn't do Alice's story right at all.
Yeah, they put her brother in the Niffin box, or Quentin did, to save Alice, because he realized right away that
She was going to die.
The Niffin, once you're a Niffin, you kind of lose your sense of morality and good and bad and so forth, and kind of just go off the rails. So she was probably not in for a good time if he didn't do what he did. So
honestly, I think what I have to do is just go with whatever you got in the book and say what happened.
Yep, that's what I figured.
Yeah,
would be the easiest thing to do.
I took too much notes.
So, the thing with the book is, especially the first 2 specifically, 1, and then we get backstory with Julia and 2, but they follow Quentin.
Yeah.
Book 3, we start going back and forth between characters, but so they can't just do that in the show. So in the show, they follow all the characters. So
and give them each their own storylines and what's going on.
Yeah.
Penny's a fucking traveler in the show. Penny's not a fucking traveler in the book.
Yes, he is.
Oh,
he is. They say he is.
Oh, well, he's not doing all the shit.
He's
he does
not
in the
doing
show.
it like the show. No, not at all. But he is a traveler in the book.
That's like
Yeah.
I can't fucking stand Penny.
My question here.
Yeah.
The Elliot and Eric part.
Yeah.
What? That doesn't even come up again in the book, does it?
I didn't even remember that this happened. So
and who's Eric in the show?
Yeah, I was just wondering that. I was like, wait, then who's Eric?
I think that this situation was really just a private, personal thing between Elliot and a prospective relationship.
Actually,
I think you're right, because I do remember when I read that. I think it was
I think so. It was just odd that it was in books usually they put something in and it
gets brought back.
Yeah. This was a one and done thing, and it seemed off to me, but.
Well, I think the reason why it was, one and done is because, as the story unfolded, there was a lot more on Elliot's plate to deal with. He was now in his friends group on adventures and quests and going to other worlds. It was way beyond the small relationships that he could have within Breakbills.
I also think he's very much a one and done kind of dude.
Yeah.
He was like that. He is like that, at least in the beginning, especially in the books. Mm-hmm. But we'll see the character.
Can you guess who John's favorite couple in the show, Allie?
In the show?
Yeah.
Do you like Elliot and Fen? No. Do you like Margot
Actually, Elliot and Fen, I feel really bad for Fen.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
But it seems like they're so open that... But it's the way he treats her,
yeah.
It's kind of like they're not even closely...
Like in season 5, he's running down the halls of Fillory, and Fen comes around the corner and goes, "Oh, it's you."
Yeah.
John turned to me and went, "It's only his wife," and he goes, "Oh, it's you."
What about Josh and Fen? No, not Josh and Fen. Josh and Margot.
That one's okay. But no, that's not my favorite.
It's not Quentin and Alice.
No.
No, that's the second. That's the second. Of course, everyone loves that one.
Is it Elliot and the King?
Nope.
I don't know.
It's Quentin and Elliot.
Oh, for like the one scene, the one episode.
Well, the one
It's a full
scene-
episode, and then they recall that, and they make further callbacks. Even when Quentin dies,
You're right.
He tosses the plum or the peach into the fire. So
John likes that he gets to see the full relationship.
I mean, you know, he's like they have a
Their
full
whole life,
and
that one
Elliot
episode.
has remorse for not, you know, because Quentin
Pursuing
when they
that.
recall they you know. In several episodes, he recalls that situation, and he's sad about it. So
That's true.
yeah, no, it's just the time he has with Elliot is like probably close to 70 years or so. So maybe even a little more than that. So they have the longest and strongest bond between characters in the show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. I can see it.
Okay. They never got offered to move up in break bills in the show. That was not a thing.
They didn't?
Mm-mm.
So why did Penny get so pissed and punch him?
It was over something fucking stupid.
Oh, all right.
I remember that because I was like, what the fuck?
Well, the punching in the books made it less of an unfair fight, right? So like in the show, Quentin does a spell and Penny easily bounces it off himself, and it sends Quentin hurling back into a tree. And in the books, there's an actual fist fight, and Quentin has a few lands, and they both kind of end up in the infirmary together, about the same amount banged up. So it's just a little bit different in the show, which is unfortunate. Quentin is more of a weakling, I guess.
And the whole reason was because there was fucking like just stupid petty shit between Penny and Q in the show. And it was like, because Penny's a traveler, he can hear voices. And so the voice that he can hear is the beast. And he finds out that this crystal can stop it. But he had done something to Quentin. So then Quentin went to steal his crystal. So then they were both just pissed. And Penny was fucking trying to leave break bills. And I think Quentin came at him.
All right.
It was stupid.
Okay.
Not at all like the book.
No, because here's what happened in the book. Just kidding. I'm not going to say it yet. There's more that happens before that. So they went home in December, which is actually March in the real world. And Julia and James came to see Q, and they just seemed Julia seemed a little off. And we get back to Fillory, or we get background on the Fillory books because he's reading them because he's bored. And we learn about this kid, Martin Chatwin, that ends up disappearing. And the author died before publishing anymore, so we don't know what happened to him.
In the show, when Julia doesn't get into break bills, they are like, we're going to wipe your memory so that you have no idea about this place. And Julia's like, I'm going to cut myself so that I remember. How is a cut going to help you remember? I would probably just be like, oh, shoot, I must have fell and got that scar.
How many cuts do we have that, like, what if our minds were wiped? Because we're always like, wow, how did I get that?
That's true.
Look at that. How did I do that? No, I know how I did that one. Friggin' dog.
That looks like a dog.
But it's like,
Yeah.
that's what I'm going to think every time now. I'll be like, I knew I was a witch.
They want me out of there for some reason. But then after that, every time Julia sees Q, he's always like, why? Because she becomes a hedge witch, and Q finds out about that way sooner than he does in the books. And he is very much not okay with her being a hedge, but it is what it is.
Yep. Okay, Q and Alice are kind of outsiders now because they don't fit in with the first years. They don't fit in with the second years. And then all of a sudden, Q gets punched in the face by Penny. This is what we were talking about. Whole fight started. They're pulled apart. Next few hours are a blur because he's like knocked out. So he spends time in the infirmary, and that EMT that he found was in his room. Not that he found, that found him. And she says she's been making a point not to be seen. She's just there to be there. and he falls back asleep and wakes up, and then Penny's in his room, and Penny's pissed, and he's trying to justify his actions by blaming Q and Alice for studying alone, and that's why he didn't pass, because they got extra study time together, and Fogg came in and wanted an explanation, and Penny ended up getting a month's worth of dish duty, and they were told never to use magic in fights because it is so dangerous.
So basically what John said, they have a fight in the show, but the rest of that does not happen. I'll just say this here. The Chatwin kids, when they find Fillory in the show, they're much, much, much older than they should be in the books.
Yeah, they're supposed to be like
Young
kids.
itty bitty kids.
Yeah.
But they're not. And then that then makes, like, to me, when Jane met Quentin in the books, she was this young, like, maybe mid to late 20s.
Yeah.
But instead, in the book, she's mid to late 30s.
No, I think she was around the same age in the books as a paramedic as she was in the show.
Okay.
At that point, she's grown up, and I think that's the same as reflected in the show just very well. But I think what you're talking about is when the Chatwins are discussed early on in the books, they're young, they're children.
Mm-hmm.
They're never.
Well, to me,
they are children occasionally in the show.
To me, she was much older than I thought when I read it.
In the show, they are represented immediately as being kind of like probably
late teens.
Yeah, teenagers. As soon as we see them, which is fine. I don't mind about that at all. But it is a striking difference.
And then also, after Quentin and Penny's fight in the show, fucking Jane Chatwin comes as Eliza to the school as a specialist to talk to Quentin. I'm like, why? It made no sense. It's so stupid.
Oh my gosh. So at the end of second year, these books, or this was the thing that drove me crazy. Yeah. It was like one chapter was like a whole year. I was like, oh, okay, next.
Yeah,
so
insane.
at the end of second year, they're taking this test to figure out their disciplines, like what they specialize in their magic abilities. And Quentin took his test and he's undetermined. And so, but Alice is a physical discipline. So she's trying to get into the clubhouse, and Q's tagging.
That's her discipline.
She can bend light. She can do stuff with light. Phosphoromancy. Awesome. There you go. Check. And so...
Don't you like how he's telling you to say things and not coming up to the mic?
Well, she's in it. I don't want to.
You're our guest. You can be in on the mic.
Yeah. So it's cute. This is allergies, by the way, because there's cats, not because I'm sick. If that's why you're staying away from me.
That might have been. I didn't think of that.
Yeah. So Quentin just goes along with Alice because he has nowhere else to go. He has no other. Okay, so he's like, I'm just going to hang out with you like a little puppy dog and follow along. Yeah. And so Alice showed him that she can make her hands disappear.
Well, no, I think
Here, I'll
it's
step
because she was also kind of by herself. So he found like, okay, so she's kind of the shy, antisocial type, and I'm also that. So maybe if we
Be
tag
shy,
along
antisocial together.
maybe that's where I'll fit in with her.
That makes sense. Mm-hmm. All right. So Alice showed him how he can disappear. She can disappear her hand and everything. And he's like, can you make a magnifying glass with light? And they burned the door down. They were successful. And then Elliot, Janet, and Josh are there, who are also physical kids. And they're like, good job. That only took you 6 hours.
They got to the physical cottage way sooner in the book or in the show than they did in the book. Oh my God, everything happened so much sooner. The fucking beast attack happened already. The physical cottage happened. Can you remember, John, how did they get into the cottage? It was still the same, wasn't it? But it was just super fucking quick.
It was in the books. It was they tried a bunch of different ways, and then finally, ultimately, decided that Quentin and Alice would team up to do a cooperative phosphoromancy spell and burn the door down. And in the show, she very quickly just burned the door down.
Like, oh look, I can do this. Boop.
Well, she's very adept at her magical abilities. I wouldn't say she's an expert by any means yet, but she has been doing magic for quite some time. And so she's honed her skills pretty well, especially considering she's just a first year at this point. So it was easy for her.
Also at this point, because the fucking beast has come and attacked Breakbills already, you find out that the beast is trying to get into Quentin's mind. So then Elliot is like, I know a spell where you can cast it and no one can read your mind. Oh, wait, no, it's because Penny keeps getting in his head. And so he's sick of Penny being in his head. So he gives him that so that Penny can stay out. And this is when you find out that Elliot killed someone at 14. And I'm like, the fuck? That does not sound like an Elliot thing to do.
Well, it wasn't on purpose.
No,
it was in
wasn't.
the show.
Yeah.
It was in the show.
It was
and
in the
the
show.
books.
What?
When?
It was only in the show.
I missed it in the books.
I'm pretty sure I can take a look.
You
Good luck looking up anything about these books because there's like a character I didn't know how to spell their name on. I'm like, okay, and they weren't in the show, so I couldn't go to look up and match. So I type in and anything that comes up is about the show. Like nothing's about the books. And I'm like, this is very difficult.
That's dumb.
So,
all right. Well, there we go.
okay. So Alice and Quentin are hanging out and I read this already, didn't I? Classes continue to the next school year. So once
Once upon a time.
one class, their teacher, Professor March, messed up the spell he was doing because Quentin jokingly blew a kiss to a girl named Amanda and kind of like distracted the teacher, I think. That's what I understood. Does that sound about right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. No. So in the books, I'm interrupting, but in the books, he is shown to have accidentally killed his high school bully with telekinesis as well.
I missed it.
I did too. Which book? I almost think you found something about the show.
I'll keep going while he researches.
Yep.
So Alice leans over to Q and is like, hey, the professor did that spell wrong. And then all of a sudden time froze. And Q was aware, but he couldn't move. And then this man with extra fingers comes in and his face is like covered with like a branch or something. And it was super creepy. He ended up killing the teacher. Did he kill the teacher?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I thought. He also ate Amanda, one of the students.
Which is who Katie is, kind of.
Apparently, even though
She does not die.
and Amanda was like in this one scene in the book, or was she in it more?
Nope, just this once.
So I don't really understand how Katie is part her.
Because she gets attacked in the beast's attack.
Oh, okay. And eventually he broke this clock, this monster thing, broke this clock. And finally Dean Fogg came in and he shared that this is the beast. And we were notified as soon as he got here. We just had to figure out how to help.
Fucking dude is so okay. Oh my fuck. How could I have forgotten to say this? So Alice, being obsessed with wanting to get her Niffin brother back, has requested Quentin to help her with the summoning, which is then because Penny can hear that Quentin needs help. Like, he doesn't know it's Quentin. He's just like, oh, I hear that someone needs help. And so he goes into the room and it's Alice and Quentin doing a summoning circle. And so then they're like, oh, great, you and your girlfriend can help us. So they sit and do the summoning thing. And the summoning thing is what fucking summons the beast. And then during this attack, the beast attacks Dean Fogg. The beast also then goes and talks to Quentin because, as John has mentioned already, this is the 40th time that they've done all this. So the beast is very familiar with Quentin and is like, I don't like you. So he goes to Quentin. Freaking the beast wants Dean Fogg's pocket watch, but Quentin freaking teleports it so that it's into his hand and pocket. Amanda doesn't die because Amanda's not there. And freaking Quentin, Alice, was Penny part of the group that fought him in the show?
That fought him when?
The first time he comes to the school and attacks.
Penny, Katie, they were all in the classroom.
Yeah. So Penny, Katie, Alice, and Quentin then fight him because they're also not frozen.
No, they don't fight him because they are frozen. And then Fogg gets his eyes ripped out. Are you talking about the show or the book?
I'm talking about the show.
Yeah, in the show, everyone's frozen.
Eventually they become unfrozen before he leaves, though.
Yeah, because they fight him.
They do.
I literally have a note that says students fought the beast weren't frozen.
They were frozen at first.
Mm-hmm. They were. When he teleported the pocket watch into his pocket. Yeah, and then after this, freaking all the teachers come in and are like, anyone who's involved in this is going to get expelled.
Yeah, I mean, what they mean by that is they had the study group, and they were also just trying to see if they could talk to Alice's brother and so forth. Like they were working on that on the floor in one of the rooms for several nights prior to leading up to this. And little did they know, by doing so, they actually set up a vulnerability for the beast to come through. So they were in part responsible for this, of course. And so that's why they were going to get expelled potentially if obviously the staff members found out about this. But obviously the staff did find out and they didn't get expelled.
Okay.
So Quentin had to live with the guilt of Amanda. Her parents came to school, collect her things. He's just feeling awful. The rest of the third years are now preparing to play this magician's game.
Walters.
Yes. So Josh is flipping out because he's like, I'm not a good magician. And they go to this game. Janet's team captain, and they do all this physical magic. And at one point, they're about to lose. Quentin throws the globe thing for the game, and it hits a kid in the knee. It's called a foul, and he's like, yep, fair. And then he grabs Alice, and he jumps into a pool of cold water. I don't know. I was confused.
Quentin Coldwater?
Don't worry. When I read this, I thought it was a fucking water game because there was... Oh, no, he didn't jump her into a pool of cold water. What they call the big field where they were playing it is something to do with water. John, what is it called?
It's called the sea. They call the field of green in front of Breakbills the sea. It's just grass.
Okay. And so I also then, because they kept calling it the sea, I was like, okay, they're playing it in water. And so he and I one night were talking about it, and he said something about them playing Walters at the school. I can't remember how it came up. And I was like, yeah, I don't get how they're going to fucking do that in the show because it's in the water. What are they doing? And he was like, it's not in the water. I was like, oh, my bad.
I thought that as well.
This happens except for Quentin doesn't throw a globe and hit a kid in the knee. He conjures up a fucking storm and then wins the game. But yeah, that was I liked that episode a lot.
So they're now fourth years. Fourth years get to study at Breakville South. So they're collected at night. They're given a glob of something on their foreheads, told to undress, and they're standing there naked, and then all of a sudden they turn into geese. And they begin flying south for weeks. And finally, they get to where they're supposed to be. And they all collapse in front of this man in the snow.
I mean, they weren't given a glob of something on their foreheads, and they weren't told to undress, but they did go to Breakville South. And
I mean, it's assumed that some stuff was kind of done off screen.
That's true.
But that was pretty close.
I think they did undress. Wasn't that when Quentin and Alice were on the roof together and they had to get naked and they're just kind of standing there awkward?
No, that's them telling each other their truths.
Oh, yeah. What was that? That didn't happen in the book, did it?
No, it didn't. I totally forgot about that. Hold on. Let me see. I probably have that. That was that was the hazing of getting into the fucking physical kids cottage.
Oh.
Oh, wait, but John, I need your help. Stop throwing shit. Who else got naked? No, it wasn't Elliot, because Elliot and Margot sat there and watching. So it was like they were getting hazed to be a part of the physical kids cottage where they had to do a bunch of different trials and a bunch of different tasks. Like, ooh, if you can do this puzzle, you can get in. Ooh, if you do this. And then they're like,
Why was Penny in the physical kids stuff in the show? Like, didn't he go in the clubhouse a bunch?
All the time.
Yeah. How is that allowed if he's not a physical kid?
The physical kids cottage is where the physical kids go, but if you just like any frat, you can bring in your friends.
Wasn't he part of the one doing the trials too?
Yeah, because
Him and Katie had to do it.
Uh-huh.
What the fuck was the trials for? That can't have been to get into the physical kids cottage.
Was it just a hazing of first years?
Oh, I think that's what it was.
I loved them. I thought they were so funny. And I loved when they were each told a certain thing to do and they had to realize they had to team up to do it. Mm-hmm. That was cool.
I just
Everybody listening is like, what are they talking about?
I know. Essentially in the show, there's this episode where Elliot and Margot are making all of the first years do a bunch of different tasks. And essentially all the tasks, like each person has their own thing that they're supposed to do, but really they're supposed to come to the realization that they're going to work together to actually finish the tasks. And then the last thing is they have to tell each other the truth while naked, and they have a rope tied around their wrists, and the only way they'll know if it's the actual truth is if the rope falls free. And I fucking love that was it Q whose rope stayed on while Alice was free, or vice versa?
It was exactly how you said.
Okay. And I love that, like, because at this point Q and Alice don't really have a strong relationship in the show. And so basically Q's tied up still. Alice could bounce out because she's free, but she's like, no, I'm going to stay here and help you. And it was a sweet moment. He's like, I'm not even going to be good enough to stay. And she's like, no, you are, because the rope just fell away. I was like, aw, cute.
Oh my gosh, so cheesy.
Yeah, that was stupid. Anyways, what? But how? Oh no, I don't think they had to get undressed.
I don't think now that you say that, that was the only naked scene I remember.
Yeah, no, they did go to Breakville South. And I was really fucking excited once this was about to happen, because one of my favorite parts is coming.
So their new professor, Mayakovsky. Thank you. Gosh, I've been saying it right every time I've typed it, and now I say it on Mayakovsky. Mayakovsky came into Quentin's room, and he's sleeping. He was woken up, and he's like, "You're the last one to sleep. Wake up." And he shares that they have learned nothing at Breakbills, and this is where the real learning begins. And they're not allowed to talk, so he does this spell to mute them all. And Quentin learned like he never did before. He's like, he learned 30 different ways how to hammer a nail, like with magic and all this sort of stuff. Talking too fast. Finally, one day, Mayakovsky said, you guys could have talked for the last 2 weeks, but no one really tried. And then he gave them a chance, and they turned into foxes. And then Alice and Q got frisky.
Mm-hmm. It was so cute.
You like fox sex?
Well, no, I just thought it was hilarious because, like, how it was explained was like,
Bri's a furry.
How it was explained was like they were all just having fun, having a good time, and then all of a sudden Quentin was like, "What is that smell? It smells amazing! Oh my god!" And then he was like, "What? The smell led me to Alice? This is weird. Why does she smell so good?" I was like, "Oh, because you love her."
Oh my gosh.
I was like, "That's cute."
You like that. But then when they describe that in A Dog's Purpose, that he smells people because he loves them, you thought it was so stupid.
Because this is like two animals, you know, not a fucking dog going to a person.
Fox part, Mayakovsky, that all happened.
Yeah, it did. I was not unhappy with this part.
I was actually, yeah.
Yeah, there's not anything that I need to say.
Did you remember how in the books he teaches them?
I forgot to edit this part, so I'm trying to decipher what it says.
He teaches them how to cast without their hands.
Oh, she did not make note of that.
I did not.
And that really isn't something that was
in the show.
They very
all
much
relied on their hands. That's a good point. So much so that in season 5, Alice's fingers gets chopped off, and she's like, "I can't cast anymore."
Yeah, you know, in the books, Penny gets
his hands cut off.
He gets his hands cut off, and just like in the show, but then
he gets
golden hands towards the end of the show. They're golden attachments because he's a librarian. He's a librarian.
You're talking about in the book, not the show.
I know. And in the show, he doesn't get the golden hands.
Yes.
But anyways, long story short, I just is all to say that, you know, when Alice gets her fingers back, and there's other times when other people get things going to their hands, and it doesn't quite work right, like with Dean Fogg as well. He had some trouble early on as well with the similar problem. And it just, in the books,
the beast cut off the fucking Dean's hands.
Yeah, in the books, it's a little bit different. They don't really mind about the hands
No,
that
they're
much.
like, oh shit, this sucks. But whatever.
But I like that because it makes the show feel more alive with the hand gestures and the movements. It makes it really feel like you can see them doing the magic. Whereas if they're not using their hands and things are just happening, it doesn't seem like they're doing anything. But the hand gestures are really great. I like them.
Plus, I also think that in the show, once Julia becomes a goddess, she did less and less with her hands. So I think it also then shows like the skill level.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and obviously the skill level with no hands. I mean, you can see the skill level with one hand with Alice towards the end, and season 5. She and the librarian Zelda. All the head librarians are master magicians, and she said she told Alice, I knew you'd get there. I know you will get there one day, and you're gonna have to try today. And to be a master magician, essentially. And we can all see that she basically did evolve to there.
She did.
So basically, now that's happening, they're all at Breakville South, and they're just feeling awkward, right? Because they're like, oh my gosh, does everybody know we slept together? And they're just like trying to play cool, not cool. And Quentin's like, oh my gosh, does Alice even remember that? Like they feel awkward.
Mm-hmm.
But then we continue, and there's the final exam, which is optional. And they have to make it to the North Pole. But they're not allowed clothes, food to help each other at all. They just go out naked and they have to get there. And by the end of it, Quentin's near death. And Mayakovsky helped him get back to Breakbills. And Elliot, Janet, and Josh are there. And they're like, wow, that took forever. Alice made it back 2 days ago. And we find out that they didn't even do the exam because they're like, we're not stupid. Like, we would have died. And only Q and Alice did.
That doesn't happen. I was kind of bummed.
What else doesn't happen? They don't do like their crazy final exam stuff where they do crazy stuff like Quentin tries to go to the moon.
Yeah. But I do want to say, I think it's super cute.
Or the race. The race at the end in the books.
Yeah.
When they do a race and they see who can get there first or whatever. And Q is thinking he's going to get this in the bag, and he sees something in the distance or like over to his left at one point. He realizes that, that might be, someone who's in front of me. I don't know. And then, Alice beat him by a good margin.
Isn't that this part?
No.
I don't have it written again.
No. What race are you talking about?
It happened in the Breakville South.
Oh,
yeah.
It was towards the end.
Okay.
This is what he's talking about.
Okay.
But I think it's cute because in the show, once Alice and Q start like being in a relationship, he keeps calling her Vix.
Yeah.
Because Vixen.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, that's cute.
He calls her that in the show. Just one time or 2 times max.
Quite a few times.
Now he only calls it like obnoxiously a lot. Because I'm like, again, you're saying it again.
Alex like, this is stupid.
Did he do it in the in the book?
No.
That's what I thought.
No, he didn't do it in the
Okay.
book, so I liked that ad.
It was cute, but then that's the only way he referred to her. I was like, okay.
Yeah, you can say other stuff.
It was a cute nickname though.
Well, I also liked it because, so in later seasons, Alice and Q are not in great shape. And there's a time when Quentin has to switch with his past self's body. So his old self goes and is with current Alice, and current Quentin is with past Alice. And when he sees her, it's so cute. He jumps off the table and kisses the top of her head, and Alice is awkward, oh, I like this, but also we aren't in this space.
Right.
What? And then he's like, hey, Vix. And I was like, oh, that probably, if it was Alice, her heartstrings. Yeah.
Okay.
There we go.
All right. So Quentin's bored again because he's on break. So he's reading the Fillory books again. And we learn more about Umber and Ember. And they're the gods of Fillory. And they're always... Huh?
Ember and Umber. They always say it that way. Ember.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Umber always
and Ember.
follows.
Tell you, so when I do voice to text, guess what? It came out as Amber and Amber. So I just had to fix it how I fixed
Yeah.
it.
So deal with it, John.
You type up the notes next time. So they were the gods of Fillory, and they're always the ones who brought the kids to the world, and they were the ones at the end of the book saying, okay, bye-bye, and they got them out of the world. And the Chatwin kids always found a different way into Fillory.
I feel like that kind of gets explained in the show, just not. I don't know.
Okay.
It happens in the show, but not how concise as it's happening here.
Okay.
Ember and Umber were fucking dicks in the show. Okay. John.
It's a talking animal.
Quentin wandered around the home waiting for school to begin, and he ran into Julia, and he didn't recognize her at first because she's like some drug addict, but she's not. So that's like her appearance. And she's like this crazy person. She remembers the exam. She's begging Quentin, please have Ding Fog reconsider me. And he's like, okay, I will. She shows him that she's a hedge witch.
This happened way early in the show.
Uh-huh.
Way early.
Yep.
And Julia and Quentin keep crossing paths in the show, left and right. And you also get to see all the hedge witches and all the stupid shit they're doing.
Mm-hmm. We're back at school, and Quentin and Alice start chatting for a little bit, and they basically become a couple. And Quentin also learns that there are dragons that live in all the rivers.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I feel like he doesn't learn about the dragons until later in the show.
Yeah.
But that
eventually happens.
Yeah.
Janet is telling a story about this girl named Emily, and she fell in love with a professor. And Janet says that Breakbills was built by a magic fountain that would sort of work like a mirror communication. And Emily spoke to someone who said, he probably doesn't like you because of your looks. You need to change your looks. And so she decided to alter her looks with magic, which is not safe. And this boy comes in. He's like, what are you doing? And he was accidentally turned into a Niffin, and she's freaking out. And the professor comes in and has to fix her up, and she never looks the same. And after the story was over, everyone departed, and Quentin and Alice are hanging out, and Alice is pissed. She's like, the boy in that story was my brother. She hates Janet now.
All of this got told in like episode 2 or 3, and all by Alice. And that pissed me off so much.
I remember Margot saying part of the story, didn't she?
I think she talked about it, but the way that we got fed the information was Alice.
Oh, okay.
So Margot made mention of it, or like to say something like he was an idiot or whatever.
Okay.
But we got the entire story from Alice. And I didn't like that, because to me, this was Alice, like, this was a part of her that she didn't want people to know. She also very much so wanted to make her path in Breakbills without people relating her to her brother or to her family. Whereas in the show, she was like, fuck it, everyone can know me from my family.
Okay, Janet, Josh, and Elliot graduated, and they have moved out. Now Alice, Quentin are in charge of the physical kids, and the common room is not fun anymore because they're all new kids. And Alice is a prefect, though, so they get to go hang out in the prefect area. But so is Penny, and Penny kind of has disappeared after that altercation with Quentin, but every once in a while we'll see him. And they never really saw him in class, though, because he's studying some fancy type of magic. And Alice and Quentin are getting lonely without Elliot and Janet. So they're like, yeah, we need to make new friends.
This doesn't happen.
No.
Okay. But also, hold on. I really wanted to say this because after Quentin bound Charlie, Alice's brother, into the Niffin box, Alice fucking packs up to leave Breakbills. That would never happen. Alice is very much a fucking know-it-all nerd. She wants to know all of the information. She's not trying to leave school.
She was angry.
Mm-hmm. That's still stupid.
Well, in the show, she came to Breakbills for the number one reason of just finding her long-lost brother.
Yeah.
Finding a way to bring him back.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That was a big thing. Oh, this is also where we should say, because how Alice found Breakbills, she like went hunting for it. In the show, apparently, if you find someone with an alumni key, you can just take the alumni key and find your way into Breakbills.
I mean, that's also mentioned in the books. Alumni keys are a thing in the books as well.
Yeah,
and
but
her parents went to the break bills.
it's not how everyone and their brother get into the break bills. That's how the Hedges did it in the show. It's how she did it in the show. It's how Julia does it.
I mean, those wards are very powerful. You kind of need. I mean, even Reynard couldn't get in through the wards
Yeah, that's true.
until they were down.
True. Also, I have notes here that are kind of important because here we are talking about how Julia and Quentin are friends and all this stuff. Well, in the show, when Quentin was stuck in that freaking mental state where he was stuck in the insane asylum, it was because of the hedge witches and Julia.
Oh, yeah.
Because they wanted to get into break bills to steal a fucking book.
Okay. So now it's Christmas time, and they decide to go to Alice's place. She's dreading it, but she's like, oh, yeah, so what boyfriend and girlfriends do. They see each other's family. So her dad redesigns the house all the time because he's an architect magician. And they visit, and it looks like a Roman underground palace thing. And Alice's mom has only come out once since being there, and Alice made a promise that they would never end up like them. And then they went and had sex.
That doesn't happen in the show. They do go visit her parents, but it's not for Christmas time. And her parents are basically throwing a huge orgy.
They went back to school and they're participating in that same game that they did earlier. What is it?
Welters or Welchers? Welters.
Welch's grape juice.
Yeah, what the fuck?
But now it's international and they went to Europe and they lost every round and Dean Fogg was so embarrassed.
This does not happen in the show. They only show the game once.
It is almost graduation time and they get postcards from Janet, Elliot, and Josh.
Well, I will say they show the trophy, the Welters trophy,
Yeah.
towards the last season of the show.
I think that's just from that one episode that we watched, though. But yes, you are right.
Quentin is very nervous for graduation and like what that means for his life afterwards. And they're doing their final exams and Alice did something where she didn't even know if she did it right, but the professors didn't know if she did it right either. So they gave her a pass anyways. Quentin said he's going to fly to the moon for his end of exam. And it was a lot harder than he thought it was going to be.
They never graduate in the show.
They don't.
So
they're just done.
yeah, it's like, oh shit, we got to save Fillory, and now we are the high kings and queens of Fillory. Fuck school.
Well, I think it's kind of implied that.
Oh, especially since they all keep getting jobs there.
Yeah, they all become faculty. Well, not all of them, but several of them
A majority
eventually
of them.
become faculty. Like Quentin doesn't in the show.
I was just gonna say, what pisses me off is the one who's supposed to is the one who does not in the show.
Yeah, so Quentin doesn't become faculty, but Penny does instead, and then later on Elliot does as well.
That pissed me off so much.
But you can assume they graduated if they're becoming faculty.
Penny is my least favorite character because of everything that happens with him and Q in the books. And so in the show, when fucking Q doesn't become a teacher, but Penny did.
Good.
Yep.
All right. So the night before graduation, they're all drinking and partying, and even Fogg is participating. And he says, follow me, follow me. And they go onto this underground manhole cover area, and he lets them know he's going to give each of them a demon. It's like a tattoo on their back, and it's really painful to get, but it's a great use for in a pinch, but they can only use it once. So be sure to use it when you need it. And each word, they get a code word to release it, and graduation comes, and all the families are there to watch, and Janet, Elliot, and Josh, and then this new random guy with them shows up too. And then after graduation, they took them to their place.
They fucking get their Caco demons, but fucking Penny gets one with them. And Janet, Elliot, Josh, Quentin. Who doesn't get one? Was it Alice who didn't get one? Someone who was supposed to get a demon didn't get it in the show. Oh, you're right. She did get it. Who was it that didn't get it? Josh.
Well, Josh isn't. Can we talk about how Josh isn't even here yet?
Yeah, Josh is part of the class that went missing.
Josh doesn't show up till like the middle of season 2, and then he doesn't come back again for like another season.
Well, no, he came at the end of season 1.
Oh, okay.
And then like at the end of season 2, he was there, and then he's there for the rest of it.
Yeah, freaking love Josh.
Which is hilarious.
Josh is the best, though. Let's just make a call out. Josh is one of the coolest, best characters in the show.
I agree. Josh is one of my favorites.
I always felt bad because Josh in the books, every time he would get brought up, I would be sitting there and I'd be like, who the fuck is this guy? And then like he would talk or say something. I'd be like, oh yeah, you're that dude. And then he would go away again. And I'd be like, who the fuck are you?
Yeah, he's a minor dude, especially in the books, but in the show, he becomes more and more of an integral character
He's
towards the
minor
later seasons.
until he fucking knocks up Poppy. But that doesn't happen in the shows.
No, but Poppy does get knocked up. Of her own doing.
Yes.
So now they're in this real world with Elliot and all of them. And Alice wants to keep studying and learning more magic, but Quentin would rather party with Elliot. And Quentin and Alice's relationship start to get strained, and Elliot's getting super annoyed with Alice's attitude. So Elliot is an alcoholic, and he's working on hosting this dinner party. And it's going pretty insane, but they're trying to get it ready because Josh is bringing a date. Josh's date is one of the European girls that Breakbills went against in the game.
Elliot never gets his cacodemon.
Oh.
Yeah. But Penny did.
Okay. While on the topic of Keiko demons, right? You have the just how quickly they all use them.
I know.
Oh god damn. In the show they like get them and then they're like, here. You're free.
In the show, there's things that don't happen in the books that cause them to use them against each other, even.
Or can we talk about how fucking Quentin puts Alice once she's a Niffin in his tattoo?
Yeah, she becomes his Keiko demon in a way like that. Yeah, it's kind of interesting.
Fucking hell.
You guys are jumping.
It was smart.
It was smart. It was stupid.
No, it was very smart. Otherwise, how would she be contained? She's a freaking Niffin.
She
didn't
wasn't
want to box him.
in the book.
She didn't. He didn't want to box her, rather, because if
you fucking put her in the mirror world like you're supposed to, like she was in the book.
You guys are 2 books ahead right now.
Sorry, it pisses me off.
Well, this is what happens. This is the book in the show. They're jumbled
how
up.
The show did it.
Yep. Oh my gosh.
Okay.
All right. So this random guy that is with them now is named Richard, and he is part of their group now, I guess. He's pretty chill, but he didn't have a great sense of humor, and they got into this debate if God was real or not, and Elliot's super drunk. And Janet and Q got him to bed because he's wasted, and then they ended up having sex together. All of them, right? They had a threesome. Mm-hmm. And the next morning, he felt so guilty, and he thought he might have seen Alice at one point. And Penny comes running into the apartment like, oh my gosh, you guys.
So basically, at this point, they're all they're practicing battle magic. They're learning battle magic because they are planning on taking on the beast, and they need to know battle magic. And the only way to do that is to suppress their emotions. And so they keep doing the spell to put their emotions into bottles. But Alice does not like this, and she's like, no, I don't want to do it. And her and Penny don't do it because Penny's like, I don't think that's good for my traveler shit. Well, every time you bottle it and when you release your emotions, then your emotions come back like 1,000-fold. So then everyone who has just suppressed their emotions are like, we gotta get drunk. We gotta party. Like, this is too much. And so that's what causes them to sleep together. But then, no Richard.
In the show or the book?
That's in the show.
Okay.
They don't do any of that shit in the book.
That's why I was like, how did I miss all that? Okay.
No, that's all in the show. I realize I am very angry about the book. So typically I am talking about the book in this because I was about to be like, Allie, I only talk about the movies.
I know.
Do you guys remember in book 1, the 2 characters that I've forgotten about? You mentioned one of them. It was Richard. Mm-hmm. And Ais as well. They were both.
Ais is the European girl.
And Ais, yeah, that was kind of the lover of Josh, as well as the kind of also siding Richard. Mm-hmm. And all of them were part of the main group that went to Fillory.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true. I forgot that they went to Fillory too.
Oh yeah, they do.
They don't in the show because they don't exist.
I will tell you, I full on thought Richard because Julia's guy's name is Richard.
Oh yeah.
So I was waiting for that connection.
Yeah.
They're not the same person at all.
Nope. Nope.
So we find out that Penny quit break bills because they were teaching him nothing anymore. He's like, this is dumb. I am a traveler and I'm very rare. And so he went and he told a story about how he ran into this guy named Lovelady who sold them like fake stuff at school. But this time he had a button. And he's like, anytime I hold this button, it's bad luck. So I just don't want it. And he's like, I'll buy it for you for a bunch of money. And Penny bought it. And then he went and he found out the reason he bought it was because it was a fillery button. He recognized it. And the group thought he was crazy, but Quentin told him the whole story about how the 5 buttons were hidden all over because one of the Chatwin kids is like, this is cheating on how to get to fillery. And so Penny knows that the Netherlands are real because he's spent time there and he just hasn't been able to get to fillery yet. So he's trying to convince them all that, guys, I know fillery is real, which was not like Penny in the show at all.
No, fucking Penny gave 2 shits about fillery in the show. The other big things. Okay, so Lovelady is in the show, but it's Pete who really helps the hedge witches, and you meet him in season 1, and he's kind of a dick to Julia, then he's there throughout the whole rest of it.
Who's that one guy then? It's like season 4 or something, where it's a bad luck teddy bear. I thought that was Lovelady.
No. Lovelady is Pete, the blonde dude.
Okay.
The bad luck teddy bear is someone that one of the characters knew. I can't remember exactly.
Lovelady.
Oh, it was Lovelady? I
Yeah.
thought it might have been Katie. But
No.
they hooked him up with this guy who could help ensure that the heist went very well. They would get all the luck, but someone was going to have all the bad luck. But yeah.
That was such a funny episode.
That actor is also in Severance.
Oh, yeah, he is. Yep. But... God, this is so hard because I almost feel like we now have to explain what the heist was.
I don't think we necessarily do. We just need to say that this heist did not happen in the books. There's just so many. We can't.
True. There's
we can't
a lot
go into
of
every
fucking
detail.
You're right.
There's way too many things that happen in the show that don't happen in the books. But I think that that's, in part due to the.
I guess if I just hit the main points with these things, then we'll be good.
Yes.
Okay, so the buttons. The Beast is hunting down the buttons in the show. So episode 1 is telling them, I'm trying to find buttons. So then they're like, oh my God, we gotta find these fillery buttons. So that's how they figure that out. And then, yeah.
Okay. So one of them asked if he's gone yet. And Penny was kind of hesitant. And Quinn's like, of course he hasn't gone yet because he wants us to be the guinea pigs. And he's calmed down and he wants, okay, no, sorry. I was thinking about something else. Okay. So he's claimed he wants to go, but he wants people there because, there could be enemies. And Alice steps forward and says, Quentin's always been afraid, but she says a nasty word, calls him a bad word, and grabs his hand and cues hand, and they travel to there.
Yeah, that doesn't happen like that in the show.
So then they get to the Netherlands, and Alice has this big yelling moment at Quentin, and she punches him, and Penny comes out to find them, and he's like, okay, we can't use light magic here, but I spray painted everywhere, so we know where to go. Don't worry, we won't get lost. Alice and Q still didn't think they could get to Fillery, even though Quentin's the one trying to convince them all.
You haven't even made note that Alice and Penny have now started up a relationship.
That's why I hesitated up there.
Oh.
Because I was like, did I skip it or has it not happened yet?
Okay.
Okay, but that's why I hesitated, because I was like, wait.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what I found interesting was that Quentin didn't think Fillery was like, they could get there. Whereas in the show, he's like the one convincing everyone.
Okay.
Okay, so Penny said, worst case, we can't get there, but there are a lot of other lands we can go explore. And they kind of explore a bit, but Alice was ready to go home. Penny was just so excited because he had other people here with him. And time works differently here, so they go home, they get everyone, and they bring them all there.
No, the first time they're in the Netherlands, they're all in the Netherlands in the show.
Yep. So they're making preparations to go to Fillery, and Anneliese, and whatever her name is, Anais,
John.
Anais, who's Josh's girlfriend, knows someone super high up that can make them a portal. So they go to his house and they pack up and they're getting ready to go. And they're realizing, or they're talking about what they're going to do when they get there. And they're like, maybe we'll get a quest. Maybe it'll be like the books. And everyone's getting real excited.
Yeah, that doesn't fucking happen like that at all. There is no Anais or whatever.
Nope. So all of a sudden they start stalling, and Quentin was trying to win Alice back. He brings her flowers, but she would ignore him. Sorry. And so they decided to learn battle magic to be extra safe. Quentin went to find Alice, and he heard her having sex, and he figured out it was Penny. And he got super upset, and he threw a little hissy fit, and he starts throwing Penny stuff all around. And Elliot and Josh are trying to hold him back. And he woke up the next day, and he woke everybody up, and it's like, we're going to Fillory today.
That happens, except for Josh is not there. So,
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't understand your thoughts, though, about how you're so mad at Penny for sleeping with Alice here. When Quentin did it first, why are you mad at Quentin?
No, I'm pissed at Quentin. I hate that because part of what it was he got comfortable in the relationship with Alice. And he is someone who always feels like there's something missing in his life. And so like he got in that relationship with Alice and was like, this is what I've been missing. And then he got comfortable with her and was like, I'm not missing anything or I am missing something in my life still. Like, what is it? Maybe I'm not having fun with her. So then he went and had the threesome. Pissed me off. But then I just hate that, like, I just hate how quick Alice and Penny do it. I also, first off, I don't like Penny.
So why aren't you mad at Alice?
Because I haven't liked Penny from day one.
Oh, that seems unfair.
I don't like how Penny acted to Q from the first entry exam. Never liked him. Then when they were in school together and they got in the fist fight, did not like him. Then it was he fucking threw a tantrum because Alice and Quentin got to go up a year and he didn't. And I was like, dude, grow a pair. Like, you don't have to be a dick about this. So then when this whole thing happened and she went to Penny, who has been Quentin's like nemesis this whole fucking time, I was like, Penny, be a fucking dude and be like, but he wasn't because he's a dude. So he probably was just like, this is the way to get to Q. This is going to get under his skin.
I will just say that Penny in the books is rougher around the edges. Definitely the type to do some jerky stuff. In the show, he's a jerk, but he is much more toned down to a much more manageable way. And I don't think he is someone you can dislike very easily as compared to the books. So he grows on you in the show a lot easier.
Especially since like Alice and Penny have like a semi-relationship, but you can tell that Penny does not give a shit about Alice.
Okay, question for the show. Remind me. By the time Alice and him sleep together, had him and Katie hit the rocks already?
Kind of, not really.
So was he all emotional with Katie's stuff?
Yeah, he was emotional with his stuff, and that's why he went with it. She was emotional with Q's stuff. That's why she went with it.
So it seemed
and
like it was
a one-time thing. Whereas in the book, it was a multiple. They had a relationship, but
I didn't read it as a multiple in the book.
Oh, it was.
Oh.
They did it multiple times.
Then I missed that.
And he just, because he didn't give two shits about her.
Oh, I only heard it as that one time, and then Q threw a little hissy fit.
Well, that was when he threw a hissy fit, but then he stayed away from them.
Oh.
And then
I missed that part then.
a while later, they were done. Then, yeah.
Okay. So they left. And Janet's having super bad sickness in the Netherlands. And they're trying to hurry up to get to the next bit. And one group transported to Fillory. And they said, it's summer there. We can leave all our heavy stuff. They come back. And then they go back. And it's winter because time works differently. So they're like wandering around in the freezing cold. They find this like dead girl in the water. But it turns out she's a nymph. Because Quentin goes to pull her out and she's like, stop, I'll die if I go out of the water. And then she's like, you need to leave. This is not your war. And she gave them a horn and left.
They do see a nymph, but I feel like that was like season 3.
It was like season 4.
Yeah, that was way fucking late.
And she was in the cell.
Fuck?
She was in the cell.
Oh, that crazy weird chick. That was a naiad. I'm talking, they went into the wood and found a chick who was like, oh, hi, here's this.
Oh, yeah, that's like season 2 or 3, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I do remember that, yeah.
Yeah, and the rest of that did not happen. And I also felt like the only time there was the real time difference between Earth and Fillory was season 5, when all of a sudden there was a 300-year difference.
Yep.
I was like, whoa, we went from never having this a thing to
No. It was a
making
thing.
it a huge thing.
It early on in the show, they talked about how
talk about it.
time moves slower.
But every
Filler.
time that like one of them went back, it seemed like it was just the next day. It was never like, oh, it's been 20 years here.
Well, that's because they were moving pretty quick back and forth. Like they weren't on Earth very long, and they were always in constant communication with each other. Like Elliot was, whether through rabbits or transporting amongst the worlds, you know.
But that was not how the book did it.
So they went back to the Netherlands and they got their winter jackets. And by the time they got back to Fillory, it was not cold, but they decided to keep their jackets just in case. They wandered around. They were getting bored. And finally they ran into this carriage and out pops this giant praying mantis, starts shooting at Quentin. Penny stops the arrow and saves his life. And they see a dryad walking around and decide to follow it into a little pub.
That does not happen.
So in this pub, they're drinking they're drinking this really weird beer. Richard and Anais are like, no, we're not going to drink this. And Josh is trying to decide, hey, is that bear over there stuffed or real? And finally, Quentin's like, you know what? Screw it. Hey, buy that bear a beer. Bear a beer. Say that a lot.
Bear beer.
Everyone's pretty uncomfortable with this, especially Richard, who's like, we should just observe. We should not make contact with these creatures.
So they go to this pub in like season 3 or 4. And it's not the whole gang. It's only Elliot, Margot, Fen, and I can't remember who else. But it's like a small group of people. And no one cares about the beer because they've already been living in Fillory for a while.
So in Fillory, there's this Watcher woman that controls time. And they have to be careful because she's a witch and she's scary and spooky. And she lives in the trees. And when they first got to Fillory, they heard a clock ticking in the woods. And they thought that might be her. And Quentin and the bear are talking. And he asks, hey, is this Fillory? And he's like, I don't know. It could be Loria, which is stressed out Penny because he's like, no, Loria is the bad town on the other side of Fillory. Where are we? How do you not know where we are? And this little stick figure creature comes over and shares everything. And Q asks him about the Watcher Woman.
So we learn in the TV show that the Watcher Woman is Jane Chatwin way early on. Go ahead.
And the bear is Humbledrum. And we see Humbledrum one time in the show.
And that's in season 3 or 4.
With Janet.
And Humbledrum, someone was in love with Humbledrum in the show.
Oh, yeah. The fairy fake daughter.
Oh, yep.
Because
She was
there's
now
a
the bartender
whole
there, yeah.
fucking storyline with fairies, everyone. That does not happen in the show where the fairies start controlling essentially Elliot and Margot.
Those fairies are creepy as crap.
The whole John the whole time is like, ooh, they're creepy. Aren't they weird? And I'm sitting there like, this doesn't happen in the book.
Okay, so I watched the Olympics opening scene or ceremony when I was watching this part of the books. And I swear there was a part where they like did a cross, like, you know, the screens kind of melt together.
Yeah.
And the way they did it when they changed, it was like some singer. They changed it and it looked like the fairy because it had just those black eyes. I was like, that's scary right there.
That's hilarious. But yeah, so there's a whole storyline that does not happen in the book.
Yep. So the little tree let them know that they need to find Ember's tomb and they need to find Martin's old crown and that they can become rulers of Fillory. But there's only 4 spots available. Richard immediately is like, no, this is ridiculous. We need to stop right now. And he stays behind and the rest are on their way and they meet this group of people and one of their names is Fen. And they get ready to get to Ember's the next day.
Okay, so fucking Elliot, Margot, Quentin, and Alice. God, just that drives me insane too. I'm like, what? Anyways, these are the 4 who end up being the high king and queens of Fillory. Ain't not fucking Elliot, Janet, Julia, and Quentin. But anyway.
It's almost right. You just missed Alice and Julia.
Yeah. Well, I don't like it. Anyways. So they get to Fillory and are basically like, oh, here, we're the kings and the queens. And then Umber is like, there's actually only one true king. And like the only way to test is like blood something. I can't remember what the test was. But basically come to find out, only Elliot is truly the real high king of Fillory. So then they're like, oh, you must marry Fen. And in comes Fen, who is now Elliot's wife.
Yeah, but can we say how Fen is different?
She's very different.
Yeah. She's like a master swordsman woman in the books, and badass. But she is also a pretty badass swordswoman in the show, but doesn't come out to be that way for a little while. But yeah, her whole role in the books is to be basically a bodyguard, and in the show she's everything but that. For the yeah, absolutely everything but that. She's quite unique.
Also, right now, I'll just say it. Fen is in every single season, and that's a difference. You'll see why.
There's this rabbit and this ferret, and they come running at them with a staff and a sword, and they go to attack them, but Fen beats them up and kills this ferret, and there's magic spell on the rabbit, and then Dint, their other guy, was like, does anybody else want to finish it? And no one wanted to do it, so he starts painfully like torturing this thing, and Anais is like, I'll do it. So she sliced it up, and then now she's super into fighting, and Dint is also a magician, but he uses a wand, and Q's like, what a loser.
Truth.
We only saw one person use a wand in the whole show. Do you remember?
No.
It was the woman alongside the pirate Viking group that was raiding the library at the towards the end of season 4. And when Zelda burned it down so that they couldn't get it.
Yeah.
She said that these are the Vikings who are in every part of history that is horrible. They come to that part of the timeline and they end up just raiding. So they were seeking knowledge, and they finally went to the library. It was the vulnerable time for the library, so they went and they were going to take stuff. But yeah, the woman who took down the wards used the wand.
Mm-hmm. And what Allie just said does not happen in the show.
So a battle broke out with these new creatures, and Quentin's used battle magic, and he felt great, but then he started feeling weak again, and everybody's battling everyone, and then Alice lets out her demon, and it kills a bunch of people. And then there's this little goblin left, and Janet's been crying in the corner because she's so scared, and then she shocks everyone and shoots this thing because she brought a gun.
That does not happen in the show.
Janet, or Margot, was a BA in the show, and it took her a while to become one in the
books. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, Margot did not give two shits about anything. She was like, I'm going to kick ass and take names.
Yep. I love...
Ovary up, bitch.
That's what I was about to say. I was like, what did she say? And I was like, I love that I love her. All right, so Alice and Quentin are trying to patch things up, but he lets her have it about how she screwed Penny. And so he's pissed, and she's pissed, and they can't handle each other still.
Yeah, that does happen in the show.
There's still a room with a bunch of doors, and this huge battle breaks out, or they're in a room with a bunch of doors, and this huge battle breaks out, and a bunch of them start releasing their demons. They're all fighting everyone, and there's basically a wall that falls and separates them, and... Did Fen and Dint die?
Fen died.
Dint,
ran away.
Okay. And Quentin and Elliot find each other, and they're trying to go find the others so they can get the button and get out of there.
Fen does not die, and they never are in a room with a bunch of doors with a battle.
Okay.
Going on.
They go, and they find everybody, and they meet in the crown room, and there's this thing that looks like a statue, but it turns out it's Ember. And they all start to chat, and something feels off with Quentin. So he's like, where's Umber? And it turns out Umber's dead. And this is not a throne room. It's a prison. And everyone's all angry with each other, but they're trying to figure out what to do. And Q decides it was time to blow this horn the nymph gave him. And before Ember could stop him, he doesn't. He's like, what did you do? And here comes the beast.
Well, that does not happen. They do find out that the other god is dead. I thought it was Ember who is dead, but maybe it's Umber. Anyways. Oh, I guess this is when I'll say that, John, who's the one that's alive? Is it Ember or Umber?
They're both alive.
Oh, I know.
In both books and the show, they're both alive at this time.
Who are they talking to right now?
They're talking to Ember right now.
Okay. So Ember is like, the only way that you'll be able to defeat the beast is if you drink my cum.
Yeah, what the... I forgot about that. Thanks for reminding me.
You're welcome. Because that's
It's because it gives them temporary god power.
It gives them the power of God.
Okay, John, I'm not gonna lie. You're probably mad. Bri and I would talk randomly about it. And I said, just wait till you have to see what Alice has to do to beat the beast.
And I was like, what?
Worth it.
Become a Niffin?
I would get the power.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's disgusting. That's not what happens in the book, guys.
Gross. Okay, so the beast reveals himself, and it's Martin Chatwin. Mind blown. First thing he does is he kills Ember, supposedly. And then he's just talking with this group, and he wants their button because the buttons are the only thing that could keep him from ruining his plan about ruling Fillory. And Martin bites off Penny's hands, and Alice starts fighting him, and the others join in, and Martin is in shock at how well they're doing and working together.
It's hard because the fight does happen, but it doesn't happen until the end of the season. And that does happen, except for Alice has now drank God come.
Gross. Okay, so Quentin releases his demon to help. It did a whole lot of nothing because Martin just ate it. And that would suck. Like, you go through this pain and then all of a sudden it just eats it like that. I'd be like, wow. Alice did this huge spell, caught herself on fire, and then she turned into a Niffin. A shark creature ended up getting Q's leg because now they're in the water somehow, like an ocean. And they ended up winning and Q passed out.
Fucking Q releases demon on fucking Alice. Or no, on Elliot. Oh, because fucking Elliot, Margot, Quentin, and someone else they sat down on their chairs, their thrones of Fillory, and the chairs were cursed, and they were trying to kill each other because no one wanted fucking Earth children ruling Fillory. Actually, I think it was Martin who actually cursed the chairs. But anyways, so they started just fighting each other. So he released his demon already. Then the rest of that does happen, except when Alice turns into a Niffin, instead of disappearing, she stays right there and she continues killing this guy.
As a Niffin?
As a Niffin. Mm. And I sat there and I was like, what the fuck? You're supposed to be gone. Why are you still here? This makes no sense. And then she gets and flies away.
So Q got his leg patched up, but he's super depressed. He gets to the dungeon. He gets sent to a dungeon or something like that.
Infirmary?
I don't know. It seemed very like Elliot had to come get him free. Maybe he just...
It was the infirmary to like heal himself.
All right. Because I was like, okay. So his hair is now turned white, and he's given the last of Fillory book, which is written by Jane Chatwin. And Jane is the Watcher Woman.
Mm-hmm.
Let's also make note that he was repaired with wood. He was repaired with wood, and that's exactly like it was in the show. They copied that, which was nice.
It's true.
Good.
But the wood looked like skin.
Well, they show that it's wood, and then they do a spell to make it look like a skin. Yeah,
and I don't think that they made it look like skin in the...
It was wood in the book, for sure. But also, you've already known this whole entire time that paramedic was Jane Chatwin. And you already knew that she was the Watcher Woman. Also, she's the person who's supposed to have made the clock trees, but in the show, the clock trees were already there.
Mm-hmm. So he begged her, please, let's go back in time and save Alice. She's like, no, we've done this 1,000 times, and this is the best situation we've got. We cannot do it again. And she threw the watch on the ground and broke it so they can never go back in time again.
And basically that happens.
Q just wandered around Fillory for a while, and he found this horse, and he wandered more as time passed, and he went on this quest, and he had to find the stag, and he shot the stag, and it earned him 3 wishes. And he wished to fix Penny's hands. He's like, I can't do that because he's not of this world, or he's dead. He asked to bring Alice back, and he's like, I can't do that. She's dead. And he asked, can you just change the rules of these wishes? And he's like, I can't do that. That counts as 1 wish because you suck 3 times. And he asked for his crew to get double the pay he promised them, and he wished to get sent home.
That does not happen in the show.
Nope. So at home, he sees Anais in the bar. They sat down and chatted for a while. She told him how they got out of Fillory. Richard saved them and got them out, and that didn't happen.
No, it does not happen in the show because those are characters that don't exist in the show.
Yes. Fogg had given him a key. The key didn't work in Fillory, and he brought the key back to Breakbills, and now Q works at Breakbills. But then he went to work in the real world to be done with magic. And Emily Greentree met up with him, and they chatted about how not using magic anymore. And he told her about Alice, and Elliot, Janet, and Julia showed up and told him, come back to Fillory to be our second king.
That doesn't fucking happen.
Kind of.
The Emily part does.
Oh, yeah, the Emily part does, but fucking Quentin ends up fucking her.
Also,
Yeah.
how can he work at Breakbills now when he tries to later and he can't because he doesn't have a discipline? Well, he has to get his discipline.
Because he doesn't work at Breakbills.
Oh, he went to work there, but then he changed his mind. Is that what happened?
Fogg told him he should come work there. Like He was like, hey, come back. And he was like, I'm kind of done with magic. This was too much.
Oh, okay.
Fuck this.
Got it.
And when he screws Emily, he doesn't do it as himself. They go on magic spell, and she turns into Alice, and he turns into Professor Mykovsky.
Yes.
That's weird as shit.
Uh-huh. Yeah, talk about mindfuck, huh?
Yeah.
Like, ooh, I'm doing it with this person, but they want me to look like this person.
Yep. Yep.
All right.
All right. That was book 1.
We did it.
My gosh.
Time to get through book 2 and 3.
All right. So, yeah. Stay tuned.
You'll
Day or
hear
two.
from us for the next episode.
Yes. We'll do cast then too.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for sticking with us.
We hope you enjoyed it.
If you did, we would greatly appreciate it if you gave us 5 beautiful stars, reviewed, and subscribed.
You can also follow us on Facebook at Offscript, on Instagram at Offscript Podcast 21, and on TikTok at Offscript_pod.
Shoutouts to Madame Ashen Creations for our adorable logo art.
And Adam Daniel for our incredible theme song.
And to Creative Cinephile Productions for producing our podcast.
See you next time.